Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Moletrap here, coming at ya with a dual commentary on the OSL semifinals. It has gone through so many players. So many players have been eliminated thus far. We're down to the top 4 players, and this is the semifinal between FlaSh and Calm. FlaSh, who seems to be unstoppable right now, and Calm, the defending MSL champion. Well, he's not defending anymore, but Calm has a Star League under his belt here. He's no slouch either. He's probably, in my opinion, one of the few Zergs who has any chance at all of taking games off of FlaSh. It's going to be exciting games, I think. What do you think is going to happen here, Diggity?
I think there's a lot riding on this for both players. Well, I think there's more on this for Calm than there is FlaSh. FlaSh has been an absolute Zerg killer this entire season, and I don't think I've ever seen anyone have as strong a TVZ as FlaSh currently. I think what he did in the off season is he looked at the maps, he looked at all the dominant players, he saw that Zerg was just tearing through everyone, figured I'm just going to practice solidly against Zerg, and then I'm almost guaranteed a championship, and he's crushed a lot of top Zerg players on his way here. Calm, knowing that FlaSh has, spoiler, recently taken out Jaedong, this is his opportunity to say, hey, I am the definitive Zerg champion, I am currently the top Zerg. Unfortunately, I almost feel in this matchup it's kind of brain versus brawn, where it's FlaSh just is mechanically so strong, just so strong recently, and he's just been extremely precise, where Calm's strength has always been his brain. He's just been very, very clever, and I don't think this is a good map to have in the first and fifth set, knowing that. This is going to be on El Nino, which is a very strong map for Zerg off 2-hatch Mutalisk and playing just brutal Mutalisk game early game, but past that, it gets very difficult to secure a third gas. So unless you can just absolutely pummel your opponent with something like 2-hatch Muta, where you have really good chance over your natural secondary, or do something super clever, which I'm hoping Calm does. I think Calm will win the game if he does something clever and offbeat and throws FlaSh off, but I think if he just goes for that standard, which I've seen a lot of Zerg players do, just go straight 2-hatch Mutalisk, tries to brutalize FlaSh, I think FlaSh is just going to be too strong. He's really going to be able to press through it. We have Calm starting at the 9 o'clock position as the orange Zerg. At the 9 o'clock position, we have FlaSh as the teal Terran, and I think another big indicator will be which direction FlaSh scouts first. If he goes to the 12 o'clock base first, I think that'll open up some possibilities for Calm. Unfortunately, if he goes to the 9 o'clock position first, I don't know that there's a lot Calm can do, especially the way FlaSh is playing recently.
Yeah, Calm, by the way, at the 4 o'clock position. Yeah, Calm definitely has...
What did I say?
You said they were both
o'clock?
at 9 o'clock. So...
Okay, my bad.
It's alright. Anyway, yeah, Calm definitely... I've been noticing that a lot lately, too. I did an article lately where Backo asked me, he said, alright, we're going to play a game. Say the first thing that comes to your mind when I say a player's name. And for Calm, the first thing I thought, well, was his crazy eyeballs. But then I thought again for his StarCraft ability, and my response was Kasparov. Because his play style, he just is such like a thinker, like, down the line. He doesn't, like, when he knows he has an advantage, he doesn't, like, just try and win with the advantage right then. He plans his win, you know, he's like, oh, I have the advantage, I'm going to win in checkmate in 12 moves. You know, he plans it way down the line. And that is something that, you know, FlaSh is a really good thinker too. FlaSh is a really clever player, but I think Calm may be one of the few players that can be more clever than FlaSh. But yeah, like I said, FlaSh's mechanics are just ridiculously off the charts. The only way that I've seen Zergs beating FlaSh lately is if they get in a really good Mutalisk harass. Sometimes FlaSh will leave a hole in his defense with his turrets and everything, and sometimes they'll be able to get in there and do a lot of early damage with Mutalisks, and that tends to be the only way to really hurt FlaSh, to take a game off FlaSh. That's pretty much how the last 2 wins that I've seen off of him have been. And when I say the last 2 wins that have been off of FlaSh, he's only lost like 2 games versus Zerg in like the last few months. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff there. I think EVE, I love EVE, did have kind of a better TVZ back in the day, but you know, the game has evolved, so definitely FlaSh has, I think, the best TVZ ever in terms of sheer raw ability. Anyway, yeah, so Calm going for an early pool here. It looked like an overpool build, I believe, and getting some early Zerglings out as well. Very fast gas, so he is pretty much going for a 2-hatch Muta, is what it looks like. We've seen a little bit more 2-hatch Lurker lately, but I don't expect that. We're probably going to see 2-hatch Muta and then a third base from Calm. That seems to be what Zerg players are doing lately to counter this 1 racks into command center build that FlaSh does so well. which he's doing right now. So he's managed to kill that scouting SCV. Actually, FlaSh looks like he might send. No, that's gonna chill on the ramp. So Calm can do kind of what he wants now, and FlaSh will be a little bit in the dark. He knows that there's that early layer, so he can respond for that. But yeah, he's gonna be a little bit in the dark. He's not gonna have a lot of information, and yeah, curious to see what Calm does with that.
Honestly, I think, though, looking at what's already happened, seeing the initial 6 Zerglings, seeing that second hatchery, knowing that this is an extremely strong Mutalisk map, I don't think Calm's going to go for the Lurkers. I think he would have been better off kind of going for a Lurker on delay, a Lurker drop, something like that. There's the Spire. I think FlaSh knows he's going 2-hatch Muta. I think Calm knew at the beginning he was going 2-hatch Muta, and honestly, I don't know that that bodes well for him. I think the best thing that FlaSh can do to actually prepare for this is just to try to mine out that corner as quickly as possible on that natural secondaries, that little bit of mineral. You can't get it up in time for the Mutalisk harass, I don't think, but it definitely helps later on when you have those turrets behind your mineral line that kind of buffer against that attack. And also you have to be very careful as a Zerg player when you're kind of swinging around in there, they don't end up getting trapped, because you kind of swing around towards that direction to try to deal with and then kind of draw down. Sometimes you can end up getting pinned with those Marines. I've seen that happen once or twice this season already, and I'm kind of curious how Calm is going to play this. On Calm, if he's going to win this match, he has to play this perfectly. He has to play this absolutely perfectly. If he messes up any little bit of his Mutalisk micro, if he ends up losing any of those Mutalisks early without inflicting significant damage, he's just going to be in all sorts of trouble. It looks like FlaSh already has kind of a, I almost want to say kind of old school, I almost want to say pre-World War I firing line right there. He's expecting maybe an all-in a little bit, because he doesn't have that scout on the field. He is getting Engineering Bay and a Comsat station, but that Engineering Bay is actually, I think, going to be a little bit late. Yeah, there's the Spires already up, and so I think Calm is going to have a huge opportunity here if he can run. Unfortunately, I have a feeling, like most Zerg players, he's going to go right for that natural secondary. If he goes for the natural secondary, it might hurt him, but he is going to be able to go in there, and he's going to have about 1 or 2 seconds, maybe even half a second, where that turret's about 3/4 the way done, where he's going to be able to maybe kill those SCVs, maybe stop this. FlaSh is Calm's heading. He sees those Mutalisks morphing. I think he knows he's a little bit behind, but again, this is the indicator. If Calm goes to the main, he's going to have a completely unprotected main there. If he goes to the natural secondary, bunker being placed, provide a little bit of buffer here, but the turrets are going to come up, and it's going to be really, really close here.
This is going to be close indeed. The Mutalisks are coming out. They're heading towards that natural expansion. Like you said, they're heading right there. There is a bunker. The turrets are not quite up yet. They're in the process of building. The Mutalisks are coming in from the top. He's also got Zerglings in hand. If he can kill those SCVs before they build them, he could do some serious damage. One Mutalisk flying through the bunker fire, unfortunately. The turrets finish. Wow. Wow. Look at that timing. That was ridiculous timing. The turrets finishing just in the nick of time. And he's got 1 in his main, 2 in his main, I guess. He's just kind of setting up a line, and just to provide some kind of a defensive line to buy time for his Marines to come in from behind. It looks like that turret is going to burn down. He's taken off a few SCVs here, and this is exactly what he needs. He needs to be able to take out some SCVs, do some damage in the back lines. There are 3 turrets now and the bunker at the natural expansion, but those Marines are having a hard time chasing those Mutalisks down, so he's not able to engage with the Marines, which is really what he needs to do to really do damage to those Mutas, is to engage with the Marines while they're engaging the turrets. But Calm is basically, I mean, a lot of times lately players have been doing 2-hatch and then getting a 3rd hatchery and delaying their Mutalisks a little bit, getting a little bit better economy, but this is true 2-hatch Muta, almost all in. He has almost no drones, so he, you know, like you said, it is crucial that he does damage with these Mutalisks, otherwise he's going to be, he's going to lose the long game, especially to a player like FlaSh. Looks like he's going to set up a 3rd base at a mineral only right there, or maybe he's maybe he's moving that drone out somewhere else, but he's still got to do a lot of damage with these, even though, because he's just going to be so far behind in economy.
Ugh. Right there, you already lost 3 Mutalisks. He lost right there without the weapons 1 upgrade. And that was, I think, yeah, that's going to be the second crucial. Oh, man, lost another Mutalisk right there. That is exactly what Calm did not need. And again, it looks like just a little bit of a lapse in his micro going into FlaSh's defensive perimeter right when he had all the Marines lined up. And just FlaSh is showing perfect defense. Another Mutalisk goes down, and he's caught, what, 3 Marines? 3 Marines for 4, what is it, 5 Mutalisks here. Another Mutalisk getting killed, jeez. And this is what I was talking about earlier. It's just hard to go heads up against FlaSh. when he's just, first of all, a very intelligent player, but additionally his mechanics are just so brutal. On that natural secondary, he was able to run in, and you saw that turret was just about to go down, and he was able to sneak in and just trade off an SCV extremely quickly right there. That turret has not died yet, even though Calm's been trying to knock it down, and he's just been right there having SCVs repair it. And I think Calm is just falling too far behind in this match. He's having to replace his Mutalisks, spend too much gas, and he's not getting enough damage done here. It looks like he's trying to fake out as though he's going to the natural secondary. He's going to get a turret here, but turrets are not Marines. Turrets are not SCVs. Well, specifically SCVs he needs to clear out. It looks like he is going to be able to move in, kill a couple, but I think he's going to end up getting these Mutalisks surrounded. If he can stop that factory, that'll definitely help him out. But yeah, he's going to back up. He's a little bit pinned in. There's the turrets to the north, and now, yeah, his Mutalisks are in a lot of trouble. He's got 5 turrets to the north behind that line, and he's got the medic Marines to the south and that bunker to the right. He really can't get out with these Mutalisks. He's going to try to do as much damage as he can, but this is a really devastating position for him. He's already economically behind. Loses another Mutalisks on the way out. I don't think he's going to be able to defend that 12 o'clock. Even if he can defend that 12 o'clock, FlaSh is just going to be so far economically ahead that it's really not going to make a difference.
Well,
the one nice thing is I don't think Weapons 1 has been up just yet.
Well, crucially, something I noticed when he did go in there, he did actually take out a few SCVs. He's only got like 8 or 9 SCVs at his main and his natural. He does not have a lot of economy, actually, because he's been, even though he has been losing mutas, he has been picking off the SCVs here and there. And I'm not sure if FlaSh hasn't been replenishing him as much, but I didn't think he had taken out that many SCVs. But FlaSh just doesn't have a huge economy at this point. So, and you can tell he's losing Marines here and there, and he has a... just little here, little there. Calm has been doing some damage, is my point here. Oh, losing a couple more mutas, though. But I'm still continuing to harass those Marines and keeping up with the muta count as well. So he does have that third base going up at the top there, but he still has not had any opportunity to really drone up or anything like that. He's just fighting for dear life. And now FlaSh has decided to move out. He's trying to slowly push with this group of Marines out there still. Oh, man, losing a couple more mutas. But Calm just diving in, picking off one Marine at a time here. I don't know if he even has enough Mutalisks to do the whole position micro. He may just have, 5 or 6 mutas in that group, and so it's not enough to really do more than just pick off one Marine at a time. But he's managed to pick off a lot of Marines. There's a lot of medics, so FlaSh is able to just put out Marines right now, and he's trying to reinforce. Unfortunately, Calm lost his Zerglings that he had in place to intercept reinforcements, so that group is still alive, still being reinforced. And FlaSh is now getting the full gear back at his main base now. And Calm doesn't really have any defense set up or anything like that. So things are looking good for FlaSh as long as he can keep this up. I don't even know if Calm has any lurker tech or anything to follow this up with.
Yeah, he's in a really bad position. He hasn't been mining 3 gas, which he really needed to be mining a long time ago. He's just been trying to keep his Mutalisk count up, losing more Mutalisk. He wasn't having success when it was level 0 weapons on those Marines. Now that it's level 1 weapons, he's just been bleeding Mutalisks left and right. By the time he's even near, I think, Lurker Tech, let alone Hive Tech, he's going to be, and FlaSh has scouts the base, he's going to be facing a bunch of science vessels up in the air. I think FlaSh is just going to go straight to the 2 starports. Looks like he will be able to clean up these medic and Marines to the south, but you're going to see another large army right on the corner of FlaSh's base ready to move out. Additionally, there's going to be a science vessel with a radiate, and once that first irradiate comes out, I think that's going to be it for Calm. He's just not going to have anything to deal with it. The medic Marines on the ground, let alone, he's just nowhere in position with lurkers. Even if he does get lurkers, I think there's a tank building there because we saw that machine shop. So he's going to have lurkers with a science vessel out in the air, pretty highly upgraded medic Marines, and the medic Marines out there in number. It just Calm spending too much early game, not getting enough done with it. To really do this, he needed to brutally dominate his opponent. I think this is a big statement in the first game for FlaSh here, that you can't beat me mechanically. If you're going to do it, you got to be clever. And this is the first and the final map, so that's got to play a big psychological factor against Calm. And right now, getting his Mutalisks pinned in between those turrets and those Marines in the corner, looks like he is going to be able to finish those Marines off, but he took a lot of damage on those Mutalisks in the meantime.
Yeah, I think the real big problem here for Calm is actually just FlaSh's tech, because he's actually been winning more battles. He's been taking out those medic Marines, and as you can see, I mean, he took out the first group, and then the second group moved out. He took those out too. Irradiate is going to be the real big problem for him, though. But I think I actually am not sure if Calm is in such a bad position, because he's going to have lurkers out pretty soon. He's been able to keep FlaSh in space. FlaSh has generated another army. The other problem for Calm is that FlaSh now really has his macro going. He just finished that. When he moved out that last group, he only had 3 barracks. Now he has his full 5 barracks going and his start point. And there's the first irradiate. Oh no, Calm failing to separate for a minute. It's gonna, oh man, taking a lot of damage from that irradiate, and that is gonna buy time for FlaSh. Those Mutalisks are now damaged enough that they are not in danger from that group of Mutalisks, and he knows it. He knows he has a moment here, an opportunity to try and go up to that location, and oh, beautiful play by Calm, morphing the Lurker on the ramp, and actually it's the second one, so he can use that to buy time while the first Lurker is morphing. He can move that Lurker in and burrow it behind the egg but no, he may even kill off the egg before he can actually get in there. The egg is almost dead now, trying to buy more time with the Mutalisk. The Lurker is about to pop. The Lurker pops just in time, but the Marines are going to run right past and around, and that base is in danger. He's got Lurkers there, but he's got a Science Vessel there as well, and not quite enough Lurkers to really, yeah, that Lurker gets picked off, gets target fired, and picked off very, very quickly. The Mutalisks are now just having to fight by themselves, and they're dying slowly, but whoa, manages to somehow take out most of those Marines there. 2 Marines left versus 1 Mutalisk. Oh, the Mutalisk goes down, and those, oh man, just those couple Marines are going to do severe damage, taking out 3 or 4 drones, 5 drones now, and that is, oh man, just a little bit, it had been slightly different if those last 2 Marines had not survived. Calm would have saved all those drones and wouldn't have been in such a bad position, but now it's going to be a downhill slope, downhill slide, and oh man, and there is the avalanche that is going to roll down that hill straight into Calm's natural expansion here.
Yeah, that is a lot of Science Vessels, a significant amount of tanks, and a significant force of Medic Marines with more to come. Calm doesn't even have Lurkers. Well, he has a couple Lurkers, but not enough Lurkers. They're just going to get irradiated, and that's not even going to stop that army. FlaSh is easily going to be able to roll over Calm here in this first match. I gotta say, Calm put in a pretty solid effort, but he just wasn't flawless with the Mutalisks like he needed to be. And there's GG right there.
Wow.
Going to move into match 2. Calm looking a little bit shaken there, and I think that's a big psychological win for FlaSh, knowing that this is the first map and the last map in this series of set. And we'll see if Calm can come back. Maybe he can even this back up and win it in 4, but we'll see.
Yeah, I gotta say real quick that I do have to give it to Calm that he actually did very well against FlaSh. He had FlaSh pretty much on the ropes on a couple occasions. I mean, we saw for a moment FlaSh had to build like 8 turrets. I'm not even exaggerating, 8 or 9 turrets with the bunker at his natural expansion. He had to build like 8 or 9 turrets in his main base as well, because he knew that if he didn't, he was going to get just killed by those Mutas because his Marines got taken out in the field. So FlaSh at that point was just trying to buy time, just trying to survive until he could really get his tech and macro going, in which he did, obviously. And then all of a sudden he had like 4 Science Vessels out of nowhere. But Calm did pretty good, I think, battling against him. If he can, yeah, like you said, if he can pull off something a little bit more clever, he can do it. He does look pretty discouraged. Anyways, let's move on to game 2.